Hello summoners and summonettes, this is MonteCristo from GG Chronicle at ggchronicle.com. It's been a while, but I'm back to bring you another analysis of a pro player's game. And the last one I did, in case you missed it, was on Atlanta's Jungle Yi, where I did an interview with Atlanta, got a bunch of Jungle Yi tips from him, and then put together a video kind of relaying that knowledge onto you guys. And so I'm going to do the same thing today, except with HotshotGG's Irelia. Now, I've had this replay and for a long time, and I did this interview with Hotshot a while back, and you can see the full interview in the comments. I'll link it there. But a lot of these Irelia tips, even though it was done in February, mid-February of this year, this replay is from the Curse Invitational. The first one, it was from the online qualifiers, which CLG beat TSM in the series you're about to see 2-0. And we're going to watch Game 1 of the series. Hotshot gave this replay to me and fed me a bunch of Irelia tips so that I could make this video. And I'm now finally getting around to it. I'm sorry about the delay, guys. Irelia has been nerfed in the interim, but she's still seeing competitive play these days, and she got buffed a little bit since the big nerfs that happened. And you see Wicked played her this past weekend at DreamHack, and so she is still viable. Probably not as dominant as she used to be. Definitely not as dominant as she used to be. But still definitely a very strong top lane choice. So we're going to be looking at HotshotGG's build in this game, and he specifically picked out this game because he was not doing so great early. So it's not only a good game to see Irelia and get tips on Irelia, but kind of a good study in how to deal with your lanes if you're losing in the early game. So we're just going to jump right in now to the runes and masteries, and then we'll go ahead and talk more about this in a bit. So, on to the runes and masteries. Hotshot's going to start out with Boots 3 pots, not really too surprising there. And here we're going to see him build flat AD reds, move speed quints, flat armor yellows, and flat magic resist blues. Which, if you go to Wicked's Irelia guide, which is now on clgaming.net, it's just a week or two old, you'll see the exact same runes. He doesn't have quints because he says that there are different quints depending on what style of play you're going to engage in and who your opponent is. But you guys can check out Wicked's guide on your own time. You'll also see that his masteries differ a little bit. So if you guys like a more aggressive style of play like Wicked, you might go with this one. If you like a more passive style of play like Hotshot, you're going to want to build like this. And so here we're going to see the 21 points into defense. That's for farming and lane sustain power as well as tankiness into the late game. And you're also going to see him put 9 points in utility. And the question you might be asking is, why 9 points in utility instead of offense? Well, Hotshot told me that, number one, that mana regen is very important to Irelia, so you can stay in lane longer, so you can hit those blade surges, and so you can continue to use Hitan style in order to farm up. And secondly, that the buff duration, runic affinity here, is very useful because Irelia frequently gets buffs throughout the game. And so if she's going to be picking up a buff, she might as well have it for a bit longer. And finally, it's because Irelia can build in different ways. Sometimes you're going to be getting more magic damage with Wit's End. Sometimes you're going to be getting more physical damage, say with Trinity Force. And so you don't really want to put all your eggs in one basket, and perhaps you're going to be building in a way, depending on the game situation, where you're not going to be able to use your physical damage as much as your, as magic damage if you decide to build that way. And so the cooldown tree, the utility tree is more useful all around for general purposes and kind of covers all situations, all bases better. So if you know, Wicked, on the other hand, uses the 9 points in offense, but he tends to go a Trinity Force build most games. So that's just a different style of play, different style of itemization. Both builds are definitely viable. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the game right now. I don't think I have anything else to say about these runes and masteries. You guys can check them out for yourself here. You can see the mana regen, mana, and then veteran scars, 1 point in the magic resist, more in armor, health regen so you can stay in lane longer, and then the movement speed, the honor guard, and juggernaut just to continue to push the damage you're taking in lower, especially into the late game with those percentage-based reductions. So let's get right into this game. And you'll notice some things immediately about this game, which are that St. Vicious is still on CLG, Hotshot is still playing top lane. The Rain Man is in this game, so you can really tell how old this is and how long I've been holding on to it. But it is a great game. And it's not going to be the most exciting game for... It's a lot of passive laning. But the techniques that Hotshot spoke to me about, you'll see here, and we'll be fast-forwarding through a lot of it, just so you guys are aware. So we're just going to go ahead and start right here into this game and get rolling. And you can see this is a pretty standard jungle formation for defending blue. We're going to see some traps go up from double lift on Caitlyn, and as he moves towards bottom lane. We're not going to see any kind of crazy invades. It's going to be a very standard beginning. So nothing to worry about so far. We'll speed it up for just a minute while we look at this, and I will start talking about some stuff once they get into lane and kill these first few jungle creeps. In the meantime, we'll see St. Vicious on Shen, and let's talk about the comp actually for a minute. And the comp is really interesting. It's going to be a heavy poke comp with the Galio, Anivia, and Caitlyn. And they've got a pretty good amount of, kind of engage and AoE between Irelia and Shen, as well as split pushing potential, as you'll see later when Shen can split push, but still be in a fight instantly because of his ult. So, right now, one of the things that Hotshot told me about is, as soon as you come in lane, this is one of his general top lane tips from my interview with him, sometimes you want to let the first few creeps go. And the reason why you want to do that is if there's an extremely heavy ganker on the team that's going to hit you right at level 2, like Lee Sin, or perhaps to a lesser extent Shyvana or Mundo, coming off of red buff, even a little bit of damage will be pushing the lane in your favor, or rather in your opponent's favor for the gank, so towards your opponent's turret. And that tiny, tiny bit of damage can mean the difference between life and death. So if you're facing a jungler like that, sometimes you just want to lose a few CS, let the lane push back to your turret so you can farm a little bit safely. Now, the Irelia-Udyr matchup, Hotshot and I talked about this. Udyr is going to be a little bit stronger early, but Irelia gets strong once she gets her Wit's End. And traditionally, Hotshot said he will rush Wit's End after boots. So he's not going to get level 2 boots, just going to go straight to Wit's End. And that's because it really does nice things, nice damage that is, with He10 Style's true damage, because you're going to get more attack speed and more hits, and as well as magic damage in there, but also because it reduces the damage from Tiger Stance, which is what Rain Man is going to be going. And here you're going to see him quickly Eing onto Udyr, and that's going to be pretty much his entire tactic in this laning phase, because you'll see him start to lose his lane pretty soon due to a gank from Reginald, who, as you can see, is conspicuously not in mid lane right now. I'm not sure what happened with GG in this game or his communication, but you'll see Reginald's just going to come right here, and they're going to pick up First Blood instantly on a beautiful gank from Odd One and Reginald. So a bit of a miscue right there from CLG. Reginald did a great job earlier, if you're watching, of kind of moving in and out of these brush to just make it seem like he was staying in mid lane while hiding in the brush. And so that really, I think, deceived GG. So nice move there. So now what we're looking at is Hotshot is behind. We could look at the CS, 19 for Rain Man right now. Hotshot already down 7 CS, which may not seem like a lot, but that's a lot at this stage in the game, and that's especially a lot for a pro player. And Rain Man also now has an assist. So Hotshot is now officially playing from behind. You'll see him pick up that Null Magic Mantle instantly to try and deal with some of the damage that's coming out from Rain Man, and he'll be turning that into Merc Treads. Now, I just said that most of the time, Hotshot told me, he said, I go Wit's End first. He said, when I'm losing a lane badly, or there's a heavy gank presence, I will go Merc Treads first. And Merc Treads first in this case makes a big difference, because Sion is going to go a very fast boots of mobility, you'll see in this game. And so he knows that Sion is going to be doing a lot of roaming, trying to kill him up at top lane, and he's going to need those Merc Treads to reduce the amount of CC that he takes so he can escape ganks effectively. Now he's also going to need it because Udyr is going to get ahead and going to get a lot of items faster than him. And the difference between, even with Irelia's Ionian Fervor, her passive, which reduces CC, the Merc Treads make a huge difference in the Bear Stance stun. And it can mean the difference between taking one hit from Udyr and like 3 or 4 auto attacks as you kind of run away, and he can catch up with you with Bear Stance and stun you a little bit. So that's going to be very, very important. Now, the way that you're going to be seeing Hotshot last hit with Irelia is a little bit interesting. And you'll see it later when the lane gets a little more one-sided in Rain Man's favor. But the Q, for the most part, he'll use Blade Surge as Q in order to farm these minions, as you might suspect. Under turret, however, you always want to use W to farm, because you will use significantly less mana than your Q, and you'll be able to last hit multiple minions while the duration of Heat-10 style is up. Of course, you'll use Blade Surge once Heat-10 style goes down, but for the most part, try and use Heat-10 style under turret to just the last hit, as the turret does most of the damage. The other thing that you're going to see, and I'll point this out in a little bit, is that Hotshot will use Q to farm into the ranged minions, to last hit a ranged minion, and then immediately Q to a melee minion to escape Udyr's auto attacks. So we will see that in a little bit, but not quite immediately. I'm just going to take a look at my notes real quick. I have a lot of notes for this. So in terms of trading, let's talk about trading in lane. When you're trading with Irelia, obviously because Blade Surge does damage, and Equilibrium Strike is based off of percent health, you really want to either be lower HP than your opponent if you Blade Surge in, or not Blade Surge in at all and hit Equilibrium Strike. Because if you're equal HP, equal percentage HP, if you're both at full HP, you can use Equilibrium Strike, your E, in order to stun instantly. But of course, if you deal damage from Blade Surge, then you're not going to be able to do that. The other very important thing about trading as Irelia is if you Blade Surge onto your opponent, you want to activate Heat-10 style first. And the reason is that the Heat-10 style true damage does proc off of your Blade Surge. So you get pretty much 2 instant hits, because you'll hit with Blade Surge, and then you'll immediately follow it up with an auto attack. And that will do a lot of true damage almost immediately. So I wonked out my camera there. Sorry, guys. So it's very important that you do that in that order. So Heat-10 style into that Blade Surge. So right now we're just going to be watching Hotshot here continue to farm under turret. Now Rain Man is going to do something very smart. And he saw Hotshot get those early Merc Treads. So what he's going to do is he's going to pick up 3 Doran's Blades. And this is a great item, to build at this stage, because now he's doing a terrifying mix of attack damage and magic damage. So what is Hotshot really going to do about this kind of itemization? And I think the answer is going to be, not much. He's going to have a really, really hard time dealing with this combination of damage, as you'll see in lane. Basically, he has to choose whether he's going to itemize for magic damage, which Udyr naturally does in lane, as it's generally the smart choice, and Rain Man's incredibly effective build, which is triple Doran's Blades, which will harass him endlessly, and he won't be able to really defend particularly well against. So here you'll see Hotshot farming up under turret with Q, as I said, as he told me that you should not do, so I guess take everything with a grain of salt. But, and you're just going to see him try and stay here at turret and farm up a little bit. And we'll get into team fight mechanics in a little bit. I'm going to show you some more stuff regarding some of the issues that I've already talked about in terms of farming the lane. There's some good examples of this. So Hotshot's just going to continue to play back for the most part, trying to trade as effectively as he can, which is not very, just stunning Udyr and trying to run away as fast as possible. He is going to be leveling Heat-10 style first, W first, I didn't mention that earlier, in almost all scenarios, and Equilibrium Strike and Blade Surge. If you guys want more leveling information for the first 4 levels or so, I know Wicked's Guide on Seal Gaming has a lot of good tips for different matchups and what you should be leveling first. So it's not always set in stone that you would get, Blade Surge first, followed by Equilibrium Strike and 2 points in Heat-10 style. You can check it out for yourself. So we'll see Hotshot here very safely farming. And this is really what you want to do. You'll see that he manages to stay back and farm very effectively, even though he's down and has been down for some time. 76 to Udyr for 58 for Hotshot. And considering he's been farming under the turret, that's not really half bad, all things considered. So he's going to continue to farm up effectively, as we all know Hotshot is very capable of, and you can see he goes immediately into the bushes. And that's the other trick here, is to queue in and out of the bushes so that you can't get stunned like that and then hit by that Tiger Stance, taking a huge amount of his health away. Gonna fast forward this again. You'll see that Equilibrium Strike going down instantly so that Hotshot will not take any subsequent damage from Udyr after that initial Tiger Strike. And just some more farming. And we'll see some really nice farming here in just a moment. So you can see another gank coming in right here. And St. Vicious is going to go ahead and ult onto Hotshot, but Hotshot kind of knows Reginald's game right now, and the communication obviously was much better coming out of mid that time, so that you know, St. Vicious knew to go in, and that aggressive positioning by Udyr behind the turret was read as there's a Reginald gank coming, and Hotshot was able to get out. So we'll speed this up again, and CLG's going to lose their blue buff there. Unfortunately, with Hotshot low, he couldn't really contest it. And now we're going to be moving back into this laning phase, which will last a long time. So apologize, guys. We're going to see a lot of farming this game, but I'm going to try and speed it up so that we don't have to suffer through it interminably. Another interesting thing here is the ward placement by Hotshot, and what this should say to you is that I'm not going to be pushing all the way to turret, because otherwise he would probably try and ward Tribrush. This says, you know, his goal is really to be freezing the lane a little bit further back, so he's not going to be so worried about Reginald coming up around here and going straight up this way to gank him at turret. So here we're going to see some more action about how you farm around this Udyr. And if we just watch very carefully his farm patterns, you see he'll take that first one, stun, and then go back, you know, taking as little damage as possible, though he is going to take some damage kind of unavoidably. You'll see he's building the Wit's End now, so he will be getting that as his second item, and then building tankier into Frozen Mallet. So right now what we're going to see is we're going to see some really nice CSing around in an arc, as he's able to take all of these CS, get into the brush, and then immediately dodge backwards to avoid that Udyr. And that's just really nice planning, and seeing that if he did the Equilibrium Strike, he could pick up all of that CS without really taking any more damage. And that's exactly the kind of planning that you need if you're going to be behind in the lane as Irelia, or even ahead in the lane. I mean, it's just great CSing regardless. Speed this up for a little bit, and go into some of the late game a bit more. Okay, speed this up significantly. And interestingly here, you're going to see Hotshot actually trying to gank while Shen, St. Vicious, takes top lane. He's going to try the lane gank. I'm not sure exactly what the communication was here, or why they decided to do this. Maybe just to get Hotshot a kill to get him back in this game a little bit, since he is so far behind, but that really isn't going to work. Although they are going to get a very beautiful kill on Reginald while Hotshot zones Chaos and Special out of here. And that is just going to be lovely. So really nice work there. Good thing he was there. I suppose St. Vicious might as well have been there. And Rayman's going to come down. As you can see, Rayman has also built a Wit's End at this point. And compared to Hotshot, you know, Hotshot has a Wit's End and Merc Treads. Rayman has 3 Doran's Blades, level 2 boots, Ninja Tabby, and Wit's End. So he is considerably ahead at this point. 26 CS and an assist. That is a big deal in a pro game, and it's especially a big deal in top lane, which snowballs so hard. So Hotshot's really kind of reeling at this point. And, you know, he just went bot lane, so he hasn't been able to farm, nor did he get an assist on that kill at all, or any CS, or a kill himself. Although St. Vicious did manage to push down top lane while Udyr headed into bot. So we're just going to go ahead and speed up a little bit more. Not too much just to say, just a little bit more farming. And actually, you know what, I think we might skip some of this entirely so you guys don't have to see it all. But Hotshot doing a little face check there, getting met with the unpleasant surprise of an Udyr. And now he's going to be running. And here's Reginald again, doing the exact same gank. St. Vicious is going to come in again, but there is nobody else to help him, and he's just going to go down really hard again this time. And unfortunately, this time the kill goes to Udyr. So Udyr, the Rayman's going to be even more ahead of him now, even though he's going to die. And Hotshot's going to pick up an assist off of it. He's still going to be down, you know, 25 CS or so, and a kill on Udyr. So that's just going to make this Udyr even more stacked. And you'll see Rayman gets rather terrifying in this game. And pretty much at this point, CLG is like, they're down across the board. Double Lift's down on farm and kills. You know, the odd one's up on farm on Shen. Reginald's up on farm on GG, so it's really just kind of a mess right now, and definitely CLG's playing from behind, even though they did have that turret down. So we're just going to pause it real quick, and we're going to take a little break, and I'm going to fast forward a bit, and you guys should check out part 2 of this video if you want to see a bit more. I will go ahead and link it right here, and just come back when you have a minute and check out the team fight stuff for more team fight tips for Irelia.